You know that feeling, right? Where you're just completely overwhelmed by some huge goal.
Oh, definitely.
Or maybe you keep putting something off, something important, telling yourself you need this like grand gesture to even start.
Yeah, like you're staring at this mountain and thinking, I need a helicopter, not, just taking the first step.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what if the real secret, the key to sustained motivation, to actually achieving things, isn't about those huge leaps?
What if it's much smaller?
Yeah. What if it's found in the smallest, most ordinary steps you could possibly take?
It's a really common thing, isn't it? We tend to admire the big breakthroughs, the sudden success stories.
The overnight sensations.
Right. But today, in our deep dive, we're looking at something different. The surprising, maybe even counterintuitive power of what researchers call small wins.
Small wins.
Yeah. We're going to explore how these tiny bits of progress, things that might seem insignificant, can actually, rewire your brain.
Rewire your brain. Okay.
Yeah, fuel your motivation and genuinely propel you towards, even your biggest goals, and not just at work.
Right. So in health, finances.
Health, finances, learning, any kind of personal growth journey, really.
Okay, let's really dig into this because, this isn't just a motivational poster slogan, is it? There's actual research here.
Oh, absolutely. There's some very compelling work. The core idea, it's often called the progress principle.
The progress principle.
And it's not just about feeling good. It basically states that making consistent small steps forward is probably the most important factor in boosting, our internal happiness, our engagement, even our creativity.
Wow, the most important. That's a strong claim.
It is, and it comes from extensive research.
Yeah.
People like Teresa Amabile and Stephen Kramer, they did this incredible study, analyzed over 12,000 daily diary entries from professionals.
12,000, wow.
Yeah, across different jobs, different industries. And the key finding was, pretty simple, but really profound.
Oh, wait, what was it?
On days when people made even small, tiny bits of progress on work that actually felt meaningful to them, their inner work life got significantly better.
Inner work life. That's an interesting term. What exactly does that mean? It sounds like more than just checking off a task.
It definitely is. Inner work life is sort of a package deal describing your internal state while you're working. It involves 3 things working together.
Okay.
First, your emotions, feeling excited or frustrated, happy or anxious. Second, your motivations, are you genuinely interested or just doing it for a deadline or reward, that intrinsic versus extrinsic thing.
Right, the why behind it.
Exactly. And third, your perceptions, how you see your job, your team, your boss, the company. Are things positive, supportive, or frustrating?
Got it. So emotions, motivations, perceptions.
And when those 3 are positive, that's a good inner work life. And that's absolutely crucial for performing well, being creative, and just feeling good about what you do. It's like the engine,
Okay, so it's not just what you do, but how you feel about it and how that feeling then drives everything else. Can you give us a concrete example from their research? Make it real.
Sure. One really clear one was a software developer. He finally managed to debug this really tricky piece of code. Not like a huge new feature, just one stubborn bug that had been annoying everyone. But fixing it, he felt elated.
Just from one bug.
Just from one bug. And that small win created this ripple effect. He was more confident, tackled other problems better for the rest of the day. It cascaded.
Wow. Okay, so what about the opposite? Does a small negative thing have a big impact too?
It does, and maybe even more so. The research showed the power of small setbacks. They saw this example with an admin assistant.
Okay.
She had a really brief meeting with her manager, who was maybe a bit dismissive, brushed her off. It seemed minor.
Yeah, happens all the time.
But her enthusiasm just tanked for the rest of the afternoon. Productivity dropped. That small negative interaction really eroded her inner work life.
That's actually kind of scary. How a small negative can outweigh a positive.
It seems to. The researchers noted that setbacks, even little ones, seem to hit harder, have a more potent negative effect than positive events had a positive one. It suggests we're quite sensitive to things going wrong.
Like a negativity bias.
Maybe something like that, which really highlights why celebrating those small wins is so important. They act like little buffers, antidotes to the inevitable frustrations.
That makes a lot of sense. Build up the positive column.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier, for the small wins to really work their magic, the work has to feel meaningful. Does that mean you need some grand mission? Like saving the world?
Not at all. Not necessarily organizing the world's information or anything like that. It just means feeling like you're contributing something valuable.
Like what?
Making a good product, helping a customer, supporting your team. Even if the task itself isn't glamorous, like, say, an accountant doing meticulous work so clients are stable, or a cleaner making a space healthier, if you connect your small step to that purpose, that's when it becomes a powerful small win.
Finding the value in it.
Exactly, tapping into that intrinsic motivation.
Okay, so finding meaning is key. But what's actually happening inside our heads and our brains when we get that little boost from a small win? This is where it gets really cool, yeah?
It really is fascinating. When you achieve something, even a tiny thing like finally sending that email you've been avoiding.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Right. Or finishing one small part of a big report, your brain releases a surge of dopamine.
The feel-good chemical.
The feel-good neurotransmitter, yes. But it's not just about feeling good for a moment. Dopamine is linked to reward, motivation, learning, and that surge, it actually helps your brain essentially rewire itself for success through neuroplasticity.
So we're literally training our brains to enjoy making progress. And you said something earlier. The brain doesn't really care if it's a big win or a small win.
That's the critical bit. Your brain's reward system, the part that releases the dopamine, it doesn't really grade on a curve. Finishing a tiny 5-minute task can light up those same pathways as finishing something huge.
No way. Really?
Yes, so you get that little motivational kick, that reward signal, just as effectively. And this creates a positive feedback loop. It builds momentum naturally.
Like a snowball.
Exactly like a snowball rolling downhill. Each small success adds a layer, builds confidence, makes you more motivated for the next step. It just keeps growing.
That's an amazing image, building momentum through tiny actions. Okay, so if we want to harness this, practically speaking, what are the best strategies? How do we fuel our own growth journeys using this?
Well, the number one strategy is actually pretty simple, though maybe not always easy. Take those giant, overwhelming goals.
The mountains.
The mountains, yes. And deliberately break them down into like bite-sized pieces, micro-tasks.
Micro-tasks, okay. How small are we talking?
Really small. Things you can realistically do in one sitting, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 20. But crucially, each one still moves you forward, even if just an inch.
Okay, give me an example. Say a huge goal, like learning a new language. What's a micro-task there?
All right, learning a language. A microtask isn't study grammar for an hour. Still too big. Right.
It's more like learn 5 new vocab words, or listen to 60 seconds of a podcast in that language, or even just say one greeting out loud.
Okay, really tiny.
Really tiny. For writing a book, maybe it's write one good sentence, or outline the next paragraph. For fitness, maybe do 5 push-ups, or walk around the block so small that skipping seems like more hassle than just doing it.
I like that, making it harder not to do it. Okay, so you've broken it down into these tiny pieces. What's next? How do you keep the momentum going?
Tracking your progress. This is super powerful because it makes your progress visible, and that's incredibly satisfying.
So like a fancy app or spreadsheet.
Doesn't have to be. Honestly, simple methods work great. A physical calendar where you just cross off the days you did your microtask.
Did the X effect.
Exactly. Or shading in a square. A simple notebook works. Some people use digital habit trackers, or even physical things like putting a marble in a jar for each task completed.
A marble jar, I love that. Very visual. Very visual. There was this great story about someone using a simple counter app to beat procrastination, aiming for 10,000 immediate actions. Each click was a tiny win, reinforcing the new behavior.
Making the invisible effort visible.
Yeah.
So what are the psychological wins from tracking?
There are basically 3 big ones. First, it's a visual cue. It reminds you to do the thing. Seeing a streak building makes you want to keep it going. Breaking the chain feels bad.
Yeah, you don't want to break the chain.
Second, it's incredibly motivating. On days you feel down or like you're getting nowhere, you look at your tracker and see proof of your effort. Look how many days I did do it.
Right, proof against that negative self-talk.
Precisely. And third, the act of recording the success gives you immediate satisfaction. That little dopamine hit from checking the box or adding the marble, it shifts your focus from the giant far-off goal to the process itself, enjoying the journey step by step.
So you're celebrating the process, not just waiting for the finish line. Can you give some quick examples of habits people could track? Daily, weekly?
Sure. Daily things could be super small. Journaling 1 sentence, reading 1 page, meditating for 1 minute, making your bed classic small win.
Start the day right.
Exactly. Weekly things, maybe doing laundry, watering plants, planning meals. Monthly, reviewing your budget, paying bills right away, maybe transferring a set amount to savings.
Yeah.
And you can even track things you avoid doing, like a day with no alcohol or staying off social media until the evening or no impulse buys. Those are powerful wins too.
Tracking avoidance, that's interesting. Okay, but let's be realistic. Life gets in the way. You're going to miss a day eventually, right? What happens then? People often just give up.
This is where a really crucial rule comes in. It's often called never miss twice.
Never miss twice.
Look, perfection is impossible. Streaks will break, you'll get sick, things come up, you forget. That's fine. The key is, if you miss one day, get back on track the very next day. Immediately.
Don't let it become 2 days.
Exactly. The first miss is an accident. The second miss starts to form a new habit, a habit of quitting. Missing once doesn't ruin your progress. It's the spiral of missing again and again that does. This rule takes the pressure off perfection and puts the focus back on just being consistent.
Never miss twice. That's really practical. It's about persistence, not perfection. Okay, let's shift a bit. Are there nuances here? Like, does it matter what order you do your small tasks in?
That's a fascinating question. And yeah, some research suggests that when you've broken a task into parts, doing them in ascending order of difficulty, smallest or easiest first, then the next smallest, and so on, actually leads to finishing faster.
Smallest first is faster. Why is that?
It seems to be because of something called post-sub-goal motivation. Basically, when you finish that first small, easy part, you get a bigger boost of motivation and confidence.
That dopamine hit again.
Exactly. And that propels you more effectively into the next, slightly harder task. You ride that wave of accomplishment.
So starting small isn't just easier. It might actually be more efficient for getting things done. Okay, but here's where it gets weird, right? If that's proven to be better, why don't we always do it?
This is the paradox. Research experiments showed that even though the ascending order, small to large, worked best, people given a choice least often chose that order.
Why would we choose the less effective way?
It's a puzzle. Maybe we think we should tackle the hardest part first, eat the frog. Or maybe we just misjudge what will keep us motivated. What's also interesting is that people with higher self-control and reasoning skills actually benefited more from the ascending order.
That seems backwards.
It does seem counterintuitive. It suggests that maybe the people who struggle most with motivation and starting tasks might be the least likely to naturally pick the strategy that would help them most.
Wow. So we really need to be intentional about applying this start small idea, because our intuition might lead us astray. How does this play out in, say, the real world, like with something overwhelming like debt?
Oh, the perfect example is the debt snowball method. You've probably heard of it.
Yeah, pay off the smallest debts first, right?
Right.
Even if they have low interest.
Exactly. Instead of tackling the debt with the highest interest rate first, which mathematically saves you the most money.
Which is what finance experts usually say.
Right. The snowball method says, list your debts, smallest balance to largest, pay minimums on all but the smallest, and throw everything extra at that smallest one until it's gone. Then take all that money and attack the next smallest.
So it's not the most financially optimal.
Technically, no. You might pay a bit more interest overall compared to targeting the highest rate first. That's called the debt avalanche.
But it works for people.
It works incredibly well for many people because of the psychology. Paying off that first small debt quickly gives you a huge win, a big motivational boost.
The small win strikes again?
That's exactly it. You feel progress, you feel successful, and that fuels you to keep going. It makes the whole daunting process feel manageable.
So it's a trade-off. Maybe slightly more interest paid, but much higher chance of sticking with it because of the motivation.
Precisely. Especially if the interest rates aren't wildly different. If you have one debt at 25% and others at 5%, the math strongly favors the high interest one first. But if they're closer, the motivational power of the snowball can be worth it.
And this idea applies beyond debt too, right?
Absolutely. Think about saving money. Start by saving just $5 a week, then build up. Or fitness, start with a 5-minute walk, then 10. Weight loss, maybe replace one sugary drink a day before overhauling your whole diet. Education, creative projects. Breaking it down and getting those early small wins builds the momentum you need for the long haul.
It's about building that sustainable habit through consistent, achievable steps.
Exactly. It's the psychological victory that often matters most for long-term success. Consistency over intensity.
This whole deep dive really shifts the perspective. It's easy to feel like you need huge bursts of energy or inspiration, but maybe not.
Maybe the power lies in just showing up consistently for those tiny steps.
So for everyone listening, thinking about your own goals, what this really means is the true power isn't always in those giant leaps we imagine.
Right, those breakthroughs that seems so out of reach.
It's actually in consistently taking, and maybe just as importantly, noticing and celebrating those small, maybe seemingly tiny steps forward.
Each one is like a little nudge, rewiring your brain, fueling your drive.
Building that unstoppable momentum, that snowball effect we talked about.
Yeah, that can carry you towards pretty much anything you want to achieve.
Okay, so here's a final thought to take away from our deep dive today. Think about a big goal you have, something you've been putting off because it just feels too big.
That mountain.
That mountain. What is the absolute smallest, maybe even ridiculously easy first step you could possibly take toward it? Maybe even today.
Like the 1-minute version.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then this is key. How will you make sure you actually notice that you did it? How will you celebrate that tiny victory, no matter how small it seems?
Because maybe, just maybe,
The biggest breakthroughs really do start with the smallest wins.